Hello everyone, and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. Now that harvest has wrapped up, we thought it a fitting time to take a look back at some of our favorite harvest stories from over the years. We begin with a trip to Texas County and the family that has been relying on the soil for their livelihoods for 4 generations. The wheat in Texas County looks better than it has in years.
Test weight and yields and everything seem really good.
Dan Harold and his son, along with the rest of the crew, are in the thick of harvest. Everybody has a job to do, including 90-year-old patriarch Ernest Harold.
I'm as near retired as I can get, I guess. No, I'm the gopher.
Hello.
Far from it. A gopher with a lifetime of experience that includes surviving the Dust Bowl. The Harold family is cutting more than 3,200 acres, varieties like Iba and Endurance, all dry land, no irrigation. Mother Nature cooperated with terrific growing conditions and minimal disease pressure.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
In the combine with Dan, sophisticated sensors keep tally on everything. Yields averaging 70 bushels per acre, low moisture, and a steady speed. Slower than last year because the wheat is so thick. The tractor and grain cart approach and we unload on the go. Harvest multitasking at its best. And take a close look at this combine's header.
This we started in 2011 using Shelburne stripper headers. They don't cut the straw, they just pull the head off and leave a lot more stubble, and the additional shade helps us minimize the weed population, and also shade reduces soil temperature, which helps moisture conservation.
No-till farming along with crop rotation. Ernest has witnessed a lot since first running a combine at age 14.
The biggest change has been fertilizer, farming methods, and research, just improvement on plants, the type we're planting, our farm management. Everybody's learned to do better. We've got better wheat than we had 50 years ago.
Case in point, Ernest takes us to the nearby OSU variety test plots to meet up with Texas County Extension educator Arlene James.
The field looked wonderful this year. We are looking for a home run crop, a bumper crop, a crop that will surpass previous years.
Back in the field, the combines continue to roll. So is your house close to here?
It is. It's actually that group of trees right there.
They are proud here to say this isn't the end of the earth, but you can see it from here. In this cab, along these rows, there is space and time and quiet solitude. And for Dan, like his own father before him, a closeness with Mother Nature.
Well, you're working for yourself, and your degree of excellence, your degree of dedication to it has a major part in your success, and so it's gets you closer to God, closer to nature. You are significantly dependent on the blessings that come from God, and rain and the kind of weather that you need. So I feel like it's a good environment to raise a family in.
Summertime is a very busy time for cow-calf operations across the Southwest, especially during haying season, but we don't want to forget about the need for proper mineral nutrition for the cattle that are out here in the summer pastures. As we're working with making sure that they're getting the mineral intake that they need, let's keep in mind that if we're putting out a medicated mineral, such thing as chlorotetracycline for anaplasmosis prevention, of course, number one, we need to visit with our local veterinarian and make sure we have the proper veterinary feed directive. Putting these mineral feeders in areas where cattle normally congregate, in shade or near water sources, anywhere that cattle normally loaf is a good idea in terms of where to put the mineral feeders. Making sure that we have clean, fresh minerals in our mineral feeder by checking at least once a week to make sure that the mineral is in adequate supply and it's clean and it's dry is very, very important. Now, you can get some help in terms of how to monitor the mineral intake in the pastures on your operation by going to the OSU beefextension.com website, and on the right side of the front page you'll see a place where you can download a mineral recording sheet where you can keep track of the amount of minerals you've taken out to individual pastures. Also, in that same area, you can download an Excel spreadsheet that will help you do the mineral intake calculations to make sure that you're getting the amount of mineral into your cattle that you, number one, need and want, so that you're not getting excessive mineral intake or that you're below what they need. And that particular calculator will help you determine if you're over or under the amount of minerals that they need and by how much. Choosing which mineral that you need for your cattle in your operation sometimes is very, very complicated and seems hard to understand. You can again get really good help in terms of which mineral programs you would want to use for your cattle under these different situations by downloading an excellent extension bulletin written by Dr. Dave Lallman here at OSU, and it's called Vitamin and Mineral Nutrition of Grazing Cattle. It's E-861. Take the time to download that, read it, and I think it'll help you a lot in terms of understanding more about mineral nutrition of cattle. Again, go to the SUNUP website. That's SUNUP.OkState.edu. And we've placed there under show links both the link to the beefextension.com, where you can get the record sheet and the mineral calculator, as well as access to the bulletin about which minerals you want to be feeding to your cattle each and every year. Hey, we look forward to visiting with you again next week on SUNUP's Cow-Calf Corner.
Brittany Crable is no stranger to wheat harvest and no stranger to combines. As she takes me on a couple of rounds, we talk crop quality.
I was hoping that it was like this, hoping and praying it was good, and it's been a blessing to see that it is.
And what it takes to keep this massive machine running smoothly.
Trying to keep it in the wheat and out of the dirt. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Across the field, that's also the main objective for Brittany's grandpa, Wayne Crable, who at age 82 spent a lot of years on open-air combines.
Probably still suffering from the days when no cabs on the combine, you sit in that dirt for hours and hours, but I loved it anyway.
That shared love of the land and harvesting what you've sown is already shaping Brittany's future.
Why are you doing this? I rode with my grandpa and my dad a lot when I was little, and I have memories of falling asleep in that same passenger seat or doing combine math, and slowly but surely I started to fall in love with it.
In fact, 10 years ago this week, her mom Karen snapped this picture of Brittany at age 7, side by side with her dad Jeff in the field.
I've always tried a little bit to play devil's advocate and say you can be anything you want to be, you can go anywhere you want to be. That decision's always yours to make. Just because your ancestors have farmed does not mean you have to. If you want to, we will support you. I've always tried to give her that option, that it was her choice.
A decision Brittany confirmed as Jeff, her father, was dying of cancer.
I remember in like the last month he was alive, he turned to me and looked at me and grabbed my hand and said, "Are you going to come back?" And even though I knew before then that I wanted to come back, that really solidified my choice that this is where I need to be.
On the land that would have been her father's and will now go to her, the 5th generation of Crable to harvest wheat on these very acres.
And to be able to pass that on to another generation is very satisfying.
Hard to believe Brittany is only 17 and will be a senior at Hinton High School this fall.
They put their entire lives into working to make these farms run, and to see that pay off, I think, is a great success for them to know that somebody's going to carry on what they love too.
And no doubt that someone, Brittany, is making all those who came before her pretty proud. That was when we first met Brittany. We caught up with her again a few years later when she'd done just what she said she'd do.
We started cutting last Tuesday and got a pretty good start. Had a rain delay that kind of set us back a few days, and then have had a really pretty good week start to this week so far.
Just like it's been for 5 generations, wheat harvest is a family affair on the Crable farm in Caddo County. This year, however, the 5th generation is truly taking the lead.
We are definitely missing people, so having an adjustment of not having our usual crew out in the field is a little bit different this year.
We first rode with Brittany Crable 4 years ago, at age 17, the summer before her senior year of high school. She and her grandfather Wayne managed harvest along with her mother Karen in the years following the death of her father Jeff. Brittany pledged to her family and to herself to make farming her career after college. Her story touched hearts and resonated with people around the world. Now the next chapter is well underway. Her beloved grandfather passed away in December at age 85. Brittany says he never really retired. Most farmers don't.
He had a twinkle in his eye from early on because I think he knew how it was going to work out. He never tried to convince me, though. He never tried to force me to stay. He never tried to force me to come back. I think he just always knew that it was enough in my blood. He wasn't going to have to worry about that part. So it was tough for him to let go, but I think he also knew that the future was bright, and he was willing to do everything he could to make sure I had a good start.
That farming skill passed down by her grandfather and her dad, and continued support from her mother, other employees, and Uncle Randy, a longtime Tulsa World reporter, means it all works at harvest time.
Basically, I try not to set the field on fire, but they always find stuff for me to do.
A sense of humor also helps, and a genuine sense of pride.
I think it's like with your own kids. You want it to work out for them, but it's a big job. And I think people who have never done this sort of thing don't realize how big of a job it is.
In the Combine, we talk about wheat varieties, soil, classic country music, and as the header turns, the time that's available to just think and heal.
Even this year I realized, I don't cry like I used to. I don't just stop. It doesn't take my breath away as much as it used to. There are still days it does, but it's not as much anymore, which is kind of bittersweet, I guess.
Looking to the future helps too. She's now a senior at Oklahoma State University and will graduate in December. Spring wedding plans are also in the works. Logan Huckel is Brittany's fiance. He's studying toward a career in healthcare and helping with harvest.
Mainly I've been getting everything fixed, really. Brittany said she's the farmer and I'm the fixer. So we got the old wheat truck running again, and that's basically what I've been doing, is driving the wheat truck.
They'll settle here after the wedding.
We've had wheat for over 100 years on these acres, and so to be Generation 5, it means I get to produce a Generation 6. I get to be here when we get to pass it on again. And so for me, it's just kind of protect what we have, but also get it to grow and get it to flourish so that when Generation 6 comes along, they have the opportunity to do exactly what I've done.
Kim Anderson, our crop marketing specialist, joins us now. Kim, wheat prices have made some big moves lately, mostly kind of downward. Give us an idea of what's happening.
Well, we had that dollar knocked off of the cash prices over the last few weeks. This last week, the market rolled or moved, bidding from off the July contract to the September KC contract. That September contract was about 20 cents above the July, so the basis fell 20 cents with no change in the cash prices. Of course, beginning of this week, prices dropped 18 cents one day on the market, and I captured part of that back the next.
With this kind of happening, where do you think prices will go from here?
Well, it depends on what happens in the foreign market. I think we got a relatively good handle how this U.S. hard red winter wheat crop's going to come in. Of course, the spring wheat in the U.S. will have an impact on our prices, but that won't be until we get out to August, September time period. And let's get real. Basically, it's what happens in Russia, and right now they've had some problems with their production. It's projected to be about 400 million bushels less than last year. That's good news for us, but to get a good rally, we got to have a crop loss in Russia. We got to lose more than 400 million bushels.
With that dollar decline in wheat prices, what kind of strategy recommendation do you have for producers?
Well, with the dollar decline, it was when it was up $1 higher, we were saying sell it. How can you turn down a basis like this? But with $1 lower, and I think if you can afford 50 cents price risk, and I think that's about what's in the market. If the Russian crop and other foreign crops come in larger, I think we could lose another 50 cents. If you can afford 50 cents risk, I would hold off to selling, say, late September, early October. Just finish up that third and a third and a third. If you sold all the wheat when we were $1 higher, I think you might want to consider now spending some of that dollar, say 20 cents, buy you about a 20 cent out of the money call. Say the Dees is at 5.10, so you buy a 5.30 call, and you can get that for around 17 cents. Spend 17, 20 cents on a call, and if Russia and other crops are lost and we get a good rally in this market, you can take advantage of some of that.
A lot of things to watch. Should there be any consideration of corn and beans in all of this?
With all the uncertainty and the risk going on in the market with our quote-unquote trade wars, I wouldn't do anything right now. The market right now is offering $3.20 for corn, $3.25 for sorghum, $7.90 for beans. I think those prices are going to be higher as we get out in the fall, as some of this risk is pulled out of the market, and we know we have more information about what's going to happen with Mexico, Canada, and China.
Okay, Kim, thanks a lot. We'll see you next week. And now we turn to our friend Alex Rocateli for a preview of an upcoming forage field day.
This year, the Summer Forage Field Day will be in Chicaché on July 10, this Tuesday. We are going to be starting a little early because you don't want to be under this heat for too long. This year, we are going to be talking about the crabgrass, the new varieties that we have available as forage and how they are doing here in Oklahoma. Also, we are going to be talking about analysis, forage analysis, how to interpret that. We are going to go this year a little more in details on how to manage taffy here for Oklahoma conditions. Kelly Suze will be talking about alfalfa pests that we may encounter this year here in Oklahoma. So come and join us on Tuesday morning for this event, and after the event we're going to have free lunch.
Things are pausing for a moment.
Improvising on the farm. Do a lot of that, it seems like.
For what turned out to be just a fuel line. This is Pete. His brother Chance is still cutting while Pete is fixing the wheat truck. They were paused, but not stopped. Now the old wheat truck is back in business and Pete is back in the place that he loves. The driver's seat of a Gleaner combine.
I'm the fourth generation. My dad Bob was farming all this prior to that. And then my grandpa Rex was prior to him, and then Andrew was the original Matheson that came to Oklahoma. He immigrated from Denmark to Beloit, Kansas, and then in the land run he came down and settled what's our home place, and then he built the house and the barns and all that's been the main operation since the land run. This year I've got about 850 acres of wheat. I haven't added tickets yet, but the Ruby Lee side of it, I think it's going to be in the upper 40s, just on the based off the number of trucks we took to town.
This one is my favorite. The red one is my nemesis. His grandpa bought it brand new. And so it's had a lot of drivers. And I actually didn't even know how to drive a standard. So Pete's dad and his brother Trenton taught me how to drive a standard. It's a big deal in the little town. Whoever brings in the first load of wheat gets to be in the paper. So, and for years it was always a certain family. And so last year and this year we got to do it. So it's pretty exciting.
This fourth generation of Matheson knows that they're growing a wheat crop on these acres in northern Oklahoma. But they're also digging the roots of their family deeper into the red dirt that they love.
Chance and I have been cutting wheat and doing this, gosh, since we were 9 years old. My dad started us out on the grain cart when we were 9. And so the two of us have been doing this together for quite a few years. And it's fun just to get out and be out in the field working with each other. My son will turn 10 in September, and I think next year he'll be mature enough that he can get out and start helping with the grain cart. I would be very blessed if him or my daughter Lily want to do this when I'm old and retired, and I can sit out like my granddad did in a chair and drink tea and watch.
In Noble County, I'm Dave Deacon.
This week, we've been taking a look back at some of our favorite wheat harvest memories from over the years, and we leave you today with our story from 2018.
Right now, anything under 13.
With his son Waylon in tow, Lyndall Vanneman says this is his happy place.
That is my home. There's no place I'd rather be than in a combine. I've been that way since I was my boy's age. Since I was 3 years old, I rode in a combine with my granddad.
Lyndall knew then he'd be a farmer, first inspired by his great-grandmother. Her now centennial farm eventually became his.
That's kind of where my passion and drive for agriculture comes from, is from her. She did it for so long, and they prospered in what they did. And then along with my father-in-law and his family, they've suffered droughts for years, and they're still here and they're still going. So hopefully we'll still be going when my boy's up and going.
That resilient mindset, especially important in years like this.
We're seeing about half the yield we normally do on a normal year. Some's been a little less and some's been a little more than that, but I'd say we're probably averaging about 30 bushel, when we normally should be around 6. The plant's been so stressed out, it had drought, and then it had freeze, and then we had drought, and then we had a 4-inch monsoon right before the day we started cutting. Which didn't really help anything. We've basically had everything thrown at us this year that would put us down,
The growing season,
you never know what you're going to get.
Like riding a roller coaster.
It keeps you on your toes.
A regular wheat canola rotation helps.
We try and do not quite 50-50. We normally have more wheat acres than we do canola. It cleans it up, it gives you more chemical rotation so you can kill rye and keeps your wheat filled, plus the yield. The second year after wheat has been phenomenal for us.
Thank goodness for better prices right at harvest, not to mention technology.
As you can see, the yield's climbing just a little bit in there.
It bumped it up.
Yeah.
Lyndall's used GPS in his combine the past 2 years. Every row, precision cut. A monitor reports real-time changes in yield, moisture, and other data, so he can make immediate adjustments. Waylon, who turns 4 next month, is his #1 helper.
Can we, it's the spins around,
He has been in a combine since he was born. He's had to ride in one here, he's rode in one up north. He's lived in that thing as well as I am, and most of the time he wants to be out here too. If we're combining, he's combining on the floor. He's got toys. We've got There's combines and tractors on the back of the pickup. There's combines and tractors in the combine.
Important time together for father and son, beginning lessons about farming and likely something much greater.
If I can farm and I can do my best at doing it, then hopefully he can learn from me, and he will do his best, and his children will do the same. And the end result, hopefully, will just be a better world that we continue on with through us and through them and through generations to come, that we can do our best at feeding the world and give it our best shot.
That'll do it for us this week. Remember, you can find us anytime on our website and also follow us on YouTube and social media. I'm Lyndall Stout. Have a great week, everyone, and remember, Oklahoma agriculture starts at sunup.